Hey, Melly, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, awesome.
All right. I would say maybe 25 years or so ago, my husband and I and my in-laws, we went camping up in Montana. I can't remember where exactly, but we stayed outside camping for a while, around the campfire and visiting and talking and all that. And the night started getting really cold, so everybody went to their RVs, to go to bed. And I would say about 3 o'clock in the morning, um, we heard grunting. It wasn't like a bear. It wasn't the sound of a bear. It was, I don't know, can hard to explain. It was a hard, loud grunting, and then something. I'm saying Bigfoot did it. I know it sounds crazy, but um, he two hands hit the side of our camper and pushed it from side to side and was rocking it. Um, we just stayed really quiet inside. My husband was even afraid to look out the windows, but and then it went to the other side and it did the same. It hit the windows, but it didn't break them. Um, the next morning, when we woke up, my husband went out there and he said that there was dents in the side of our camper from whatever was hitting it. He and I both thought that it had to have been a Bigfoot for it to rock it that bad and that high up.
How high up were the hits on it?
Well, we have a it was a pretty nice size RV. I can't, what is it, like 18 feet up? And I don't know how tall an RV would be, but it was like if you would have gripped it from the top with your top fingers and then your thumb, hold the side. It was it was like that. Um, there was indentions from the center, going all the way to the top.
My goodness. Have you guys ever been back there before?
No, no, no. I know my in-laws said that they heard noises too, but they were more scared than we were. They didn't want to get up either or go outside to look.
Oh, okay. So they were with you there during the same time.
Yeah, we parked right next to each other.
Yeah,
It's something we don't forget because it was pretty alarming.
absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming up and sharing what happened somewhere out there in the state of Montana.
All right, thank you. Have a
Thank you.
great night. Bye.
You too. Hey, James, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Hey, doing good.
Let me just tell you, uh, I was in Maine in 1966, 1977, and as clear as day, but it was at night. It was probably at 2 o'clock in the evening, and Bigfoot walked right across uh, path when I was driving home. Um, I mean, I can look at the uh, GPS uh, location and everything. I've looked it up in the past, just kind of looking at it. I know the location and everything, and it was just as clear as possible. I couldn't imagine anybody dressing up in an outfit or anything like that. But he just virtually walked right across the path that I was driving, and he walked right across the road in Weld, Maine, in 1977. That's all I can say about it.
I'm taking a look at that here. Okay, Weld, Maine. Yeah, sure. Wow. How far away from your car was it, do you think?
Probably maybe 20 feet. I mean, wicked close. I mean, it was incredible. And I try to tell people about it. And it wasn't just me. It was my brother and two other people in the car. So it wasn't like it was, just some fluke or something like that. I mean, there was other people in the vehicle, you know? And it was, and I thought there was going to be all kinds of people, wanting to hear about it, and I thought people would just be like, "You got to be kidding me," And the next day, everybody would be coming around, and maybe the news or something. But everybody was just saying, you didn't see the Bigfoot," and they were just kind of blowing us off, And it was me, my cousin, my brother, and another guy, and they just kind of just looked at us like we, bumped our head. So, but as God is my witness, I seen him. I tell everybody, I go, I've seen Bigfoot, and they don't believe me. And then I say, well, I've got brain cancer, and I'm alive now, and it should have killed me. And then I won the lottery. I won $1.6 million in the lottery. I'm saying, look at this. So, what do you want? What are you choosing to believe?
Wow, that's pretty wild. Do you remember any details about what you saw that day? Any how it looked, or?
Oh, it looked just like Harry and the Hendersons, only his head was was smaller. It wasn't the big head that you'd think it was. It was just like the Harry and the Hendersons had long, dark hair, but there was no smell, because when I drove up and it crossed the path, I stopped my truck and I said, "Bigfoot!" And my brother yells, Jamie, get back in the car. And I got out of my car, but there was no smell. People think that there's like a smell, or you would think that there would be something like that, but I didn't smell anything. It was just like it just vanished. It was completely gone. Nothing, no, nothing else about it. And I've never hear anything about it. But there's right there in Maine, in the exact area there's a picture of the exact thing that I seen. There's a farmhouse, and there's a picture of a Bigfoot that somebody had painted on this farm, and it looks exactly what I seen. So somebody must have seen the same thing, or gives a pretty good rendition of what I've seen.
Is there anything that you saw that day that artists don't get right in their drawings of Bigfoot?
No, there wasn't.
Okay.
It looked right. They've got, I've actually even got like a ceramic Bigfoot, because of that, at the cabin that I've got there up in Maine right now. But it doesn't look like the real Bigfoot, because it's got a bigger head. It doesn't have as big a head. It's got a smaller head, but it's big.
Would you like to see one again one day?
Of course I would. Of course I would. Of course I would. And it's real. And I also, and believe it or not, I worked at the base of Mount Palomar. I'm you know how firefighters in California, we go do fires. We cut fire lines all over Southern California, and at Camp Westfort is where I worked at, and I took inmates out there. We cut fire lines all over the place. Well, it's at the base of Mount Palomar, which is a mountain, but at the very top of that mountain is the Hale Observatory, and one of the officers that I was working with came in one night from work. We sleep there. We lived there 7 days on, 7 days off, and she came in and she had seen a UFO up there. So I've seen some stuff. I've been around. I've been exposed to these things. And I just wonder why people just don't believe. It's real.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, James, I appreciate you coming up. Thank you for sharing what you experienced out there in Maine. And that was a fascinating account. Thank you so much for coming up, sir.
No, not a problem. Thank you.
Hey, AJ, how's it going?
How do I talk?
Just talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great. How's it going?
Oh, good. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Feel free to share what you've experienced.
So at the beginning of November, my husband we live up in Morton, Washington, which is up by White Pass.
Yeah.
And we were driving between Elby and Morton. So we were we just passed Mineral, and it was about 5 o'clock at night. So the sun had just gone down and kind of dark up there. And we were driving towards Morton. So we were on the right-hand side, I guess going east. And my husband was driving. I was in the passenger seat. And around that time, I'm always looking out for elk, deer, things like that. So just kind of scanning the sides of the road. And something caught my eye on the right-hand side. I don't know if you've been up there on Highway 7, but there's kind of, from the highway there's a big ditch where we have a lot of waterfalls that come down. So there's a waterway ditch, and then it goes up into some woods over there. And there was a car coming towards us. And then our headlights were on as well. And I caught the back of like an animal, and I was like, well, it's not an elk, it's not a deer. And so I honestly didn't even know what to say. I just said animal to my husband. And then I looked, and it stepped from the side of the highway with its right foot leading, and it cleared that entire ditch with its left foot still on the highway, right foot up onto that hill, and then it was reaching up like there was like a big kind of bush type thing there. And the one thing I will never forget is the silver color of its coat, that I didn't expect to see something that color. And then the length of its arm. I feel like its arm was as long as I am. I'm 5 feet tall, and I could see the muscle ripple. Like when the headlights hit it, I could see the muscle in its shoulder and upper arm. And I literally, like, I couldn't find any words. I was just, my husband was like, what is it? I was like, I don't know. Like, I think it was a Bigfoot. It was one of those moments where it was just like, my brain couldn't wrap around what I was seeing. And I just kept saying, I don't know what I just saw. I don't know what I just saw. And we drove right past it, and it was just massive. And I was upset that I didn't get to see its face, because the way that it had its right arm reaching up, the side of its profile of its face was blocked, but I could see this massive, the chest was just massive. It was very like barrel shaped. The arm was very, very long. And the color, the silvery, it was almost silvery blue, black, like just that color was just blew my mind. And so,
Goodness.
I have lived in Washington my whole life, 42 years. And we spend a lot of time foraging up in Gifford Pinchot, Mount Rainier National Forest. We do a lot of mushroom foraging, fishing, hiking, things like that. And never in my life have I seen anything like that. So, yeah, it was amazing.
That's an incredible sighting. How many seconds would you say you were able to see it?
I would say that we were driving probably 50 miles an hour. It was kind of rainy, so we weren't going much faster than that. And so it would say from the time I saw it to the time we passed it, maybe 10 seconds. And most of that time was just my jaw was just dropped open. Like I didn't even know what to say. My husband was really upset that he didn't see it, but
right.
It was amazing.
I mean, it's the perfect area that you saw it too, because, and you may already be aware, but like, you know, Ashford, I get tons of reports from there, but also like Highway 12 down the south, there's tons of stuff down there. It's like you're right in the middle. How tall would you estimate it was?
So we actually got a hold of the BFRO that night. I sent a message in to them. And they called us that night. They were up in Randall, which is about 15 minutes from us. And so we met them up there the next day, and we did some measurements and looked for prints and stuff. And it would have had to have cleared that ditch. We were estimating that it had to have been at least 8 feet tall. The way that it stepped completely over that, and where its hand would have been up in those bushes, you know. And what was really interesting was that they had found what looked like 5 like fingerprints, a set of them basically in the mud, because it had been raining, and so the side of that was really muddy. And so that was just amazing that it looked like 2 handprints, like the fingers had dug into the mud. And then across the highway, that goes down into like a wooded area, and then basically up towards like Goat Rocks and up towards that way. There was some tracks on that side of the highway there. It was crazy. So, and I've always wanted to believe in Bigfoot. But it was one of those things where, like, because I have a degree in science, and in biology was my focus, and I've spent so much time out here, and knowing that the space is here, right? Like the acreage is there. The land is there for them to be, but it's one of those things where you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. You know, how could I spend so much time in the woods and not see it? And, but since that happened, now I'm just like, it's out there. It's 100% there, because there's nothing else that it could have been. And what really blew my mind was that the BFRO said that they had 7 sightings recently. And that a couple other people had mentioned seeing a silver one. And that they think that it must be like an older Sasquatch.
That's awesome. Was it Scott that was out there?
Do you remember that guy's name, Jeremy? I want to say his name was Nick.
Okay. I know Scott. Scott is a good guy. He's with the Washington BFRO, Scott Taylor. But that's cool.
Oh, okay.
That is really cool. I haven't heard of many silver ones, so that's really awesome. So you said you're a biologist. So you know your animals really well, right?
Yes, that's why I was floored, because I'm running through every mammal in my head, and there's nothing out here that is that big, you know what I mean? And nothing that's bipedal. So yeah, it definitely pushed me over that line of like, I'm on the cusp of, I want to believe, to, yeah, that's what it was. And now we have like plans in the spring to go camp up in Gifford and do some of our own hunting.
Man, really?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's where, oh boy, there's so many wild stuff, places you could go in Gifford. Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, if they're going to say, well, you probably saw a bear on its hind legs, but there's no way.
No, the front arm, first of all, the front arm was so long, and you could see the muscle definition in that front arm all the way down to like the forearm. And bears' arms aren't like that. They're shorter, they're stockier. This arm extended at least, I would say, probably when its arm was up, it was probably 2 feet past its head, the top of its head. The arm was so long, and proportionally, that just doesn't work out for a bear.
Did your report get published?
I don't know. They had wanted to do like a recorded interview, and they said they would blur my face out. But the job that I have right now in Washington, I work as an investigator, and so I just really didn't want my face and my full name and all that kind of stuff out there.
Right.
They said they would keep my written statement, but I didn't agree to do like a filming.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I deal with a lot of that on this too. A lot of people sometimes they just don't want their identity out there. I actually, man, today I interviewed a Yellowstone National Park employee. It was nuts, and he actually came on camera. It was awesome. But this is a wild sighting for this area. Thanks for coming up, guys. I appreciate you sharing your experience.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye.
You too. Man, that was awesome. That was such a great account and such a heavily active area. Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, good. Feel free to share.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it, kind of short because I never actually saw one, but we used to go up to cabin. This is in Minnesota, and it's really strange. It was a strange place because there were right around the place that we stayed, they actually had a it was a furring place. They caught animals and furred them. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but so it's like foxes. I don't know, things that and then they would take the furs. But it right around this lake up in northern Minnesota, and we would camp there. There was a trailer house, but so many strange things had happened there over the years, but nobody really thought anything of it because usually we were just drinking around the campfire and stuff. But so I was, not so many times, but several times, I felt just a presence, like unbelievable presence. And one time I woke up out of the tent and looked up because it was there was a hill, and I guess if you say seen, because I like I said, I'd never really seen a Bigfoot, but I seen a shadow type presence, and then I felt it, and it was the most scariest. Okay, I'm a grown man. I never felt more scared in my life. You see something, and then, okay, that's just that. Okay, that's just that. But what it really was felt like something was watching you, and then, like I said, just, being a grown man, okay, I want to take care of people. I want to protect people. But I was actually more scared than I've ever been. If there was a big, huge guy wanting to punch me in the face, I would be less scared than the feeling I had, if you can understand that. So it felt like right up the hill through the trees, it felt like this presence was lurking down, and when I looked back up, all I could see was some shadows and moving around. But I knew this wasn't people with guns, or like, I knew it wasn't something like that. It was the scariest feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And then several days after, we had same experience. Well, I say we because then my wife at the time had a. She woke up in the tent. It was scared like she's never been scared before. And I woke her up and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" She couldn't explain it. So I don't know if it's paranormal, but I felt at that time like it was that. Just because I had done some Bigfoot stuff, I was like, there is something up there, and it's something that you just can't explain when you feel it. And then, like I said, when you look up into the trees, and when I say this, I'm down. You look up into the forest, and it felt like someone was watching you. So you could say, well, there's some creepy guys, watching us. But there's no one around. There was no one around at all. And then this is in the middle of the night. And so I don't know. I had this weird feeling that Bigfoot, if you call it that, is possibly has some other dimensions type things, because this was the scariest thing I've ever experienced, and it happened twice. So I don't know. That's my experience. It's really weird. I calculated it with that only because that's all I could figure it out to be.
Gotcha. And was it just you guys up there? Or were there other people camping out with
Oh,
you?
there was other people, but you got to imagine these people are partying, they're drinking.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like and you have to remember, when certain things like this happen to you, they can be individual or whatever. But even if there was, say, 25 people up there, like I said, most of these people were drinking, inebriated, possibly sleeping, but they might not ever know it. And if they did, they never said anything. And that's the other thing, is people, when they do experience something like this, they usually don't talk about it. I really think, though, that this experience with me, and then going up in that area, and then experiencing it several times, that it was something that I really figured out that that's what it was. Because who else is like, okay, because there's other people up, there was a cabin up on that hill, and I went there, and there was some shit all knocked over, trash cans. The dog was going crazy. So I just, just because I've been kind of like thinking about similar things, trying to figure this out. This one cabin was completely abandoned for years, but then I seen claws on it. It could have been a bear, could have been dogs, I don't know. It just really seemed peculiar in a way. And then, like I said, something that I can't explain. And then the feeling of, this is why I say paranormal, the feeling of almost like someone looking right through your soul. It makes me think that maybe these Bigfoots, if they are, have something else, because I've never been so scared in my life as a grown man. It was scary. And then I heard some more reports around the area. So, like I said, I don't have any proof. I don't have any, what do you call it? You know, visuals, nothing like that, because I was pissing my pants at the time when I
Right.
felt all
Yeah.
these feelings. So I don't know. I don't want to say too much. That's kind of my story. Sorry if I'm helping or not helping, but it's unbelievable what I felt, and I keep coming back to thinking that it might have been a Bigfoot.
I appreciate you sharing what you experienced. It does take a lot to share something like that and be vulnerable about it. So thank you so much for sharing what happened up there in Minnesota.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one. Good stuff, man. There's some really good things being shared tonight. Let's see if Steve can come up.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you having me on the panel. Thank you.
Yes, Steve. I've been seeing you sharing some really interesting things. Thank you for coming up.
Appreciate you. And so yeah, let me start off here. So I'm from Southeast Connecticut, and this is all tribal lands. And where I'm at, specifically, I moved a little while ago, and it's called the Norwich, Connecticut, where the most sightings are, and it's all on the reservation, and it's called the Mohegan Reservation. There's two different reservations near me. We have the Mohegan and we have the Pequot. And my family is tribal, so we have a whole lineage of, with the Bigfoot, and then there's the Makiawisug, which are miniature, which also go hand in hand, and they're interdimensional beings. So let me just share the stories that I've seen, what I've encountered firsthand before I really got into the offerings and really deep into it. So we were in a spot called Dudleytown, Connecticut, which is an abandoned ghost town. And this is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And we were doing a nice hike. This is on the Appalachian Trail. And we just finished up the hike, ready to set up camp for the night. And we look, when we're setting up camp, I'm looking around for stuff for the fire. And while I'm looking around, I managed to see a row of trees. And the way they were broken on the bottom really, kind of told my inner gut, I'm pretty sure that this wasn't us. It wasn't a hammer. It wasn't, no axe, no saw. It wasn't lightning. And the way it was maybe, I'll say, a dozen trees. And they were all, you could tell they were snapped, forcefully off. So, I'm thinking, oh, shoot, didn't really think too much of it. So we set up camp. We're all camping, Appalachian Trail. This is the absolute middle of nowhere. And next thing you know, we hear, boom, 3 different. And what happens? Right where we're camping, man, we hear those trees breaking. So we're in the middle of the tent, and we don't know what to do. We all look at each other like, do you guys, no way. And I didn't even tell them all about what I seen with those trees that were broken, because I didn't want to freak them out and them cancel camp. We got Appalachian Trail. It's from all the way to Georgia to, Maine to Georgia. It's the longest one. I knew those camp. I didn't want to tell them all the experiences I've seen. I didn't want to freak them out. And so I just dismissed. I'm like, oh, it's got to be something. It's got to be something. I'm the one that's keeping the whole crew calm. I'm the one that's making everybody relax. So I'm like, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. And we go back to sleep. And it happens again, and it kept happening all night. So we couldn't hide it anymore. So, we have a few things for protection. We go out searching around, looking. And man, there's completely surrounding our camp, 50 tree branches completely broken. Not branches, from the base. They're some of them 2-3 feet. I know for a fact it couldn't have been anything else. And while I keep looking and looking, trying to find any trace of anything, I find footsteps and this was in my previous phones, and these phones they were like hacked or something. Something disabled them out of nowhere. It was really weird. Like, and I returned it to the phone company and said it was hit with a shock. So when I had all so something outside, you know, tampered with it. But these footprints were like, I kid you not, the stride was like 6 to 7 feet strides. And that was my experience, the one where I started getting into it with the offerings and tribal and stuff. And then that my aunt's story was when she was in upstate Vermont. She you know, like the Signs movie where you've seen like the edge line of like the crops where you could just see the 2 feet go right in the
Yep.
side.
Yep.
My aunt basically with my mom upstate Vermont, they were hiking and they seen him and it freaked them both the heck out to the point where when they came home, they had to draw the photo. They said that the way the legs moved and everything, full described silver. This one was about 9 to 10 feet. They said it was huge. And they got so freaked out. They both came home. We had them draw paintings, each one in separate rooms of what it looked like. And they were both the same. And since they spotted it, a lot of weird stuff's been happening like with their house. But like they're interdimensional and it's all basically off for intentions. So as long as like you keep it pure, they say, within like the folklore, we don't really got nothing to worry about. But they can also pick when we see them or not. They have a cloaking device and they're telepathic. They could jump very high. They could run up to 60 miles an hour.
How far north in Vermont did they have that sighting?
I believe Burlingame, if that's...
Oh, like Burlington area?
Yeah, Burlington. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, totally. I could see that. Can you share a bit about the gifting back and forth you were involved with?
So it's the same with the Makiawisug, which is basically we got in the folklore the Makiawisug are basically the small entities in Mexico they call duende, and basically those are hand to hand, and you leave them offerings. The Makiawisug are who provide the corn. That's who taught all the previous farmers how to create the corn, and they go hand in hand with them. And you basically they like the berries. They like you can leave them water, berries, a lot of meats, fruits, and vegetables, and you leave it in a basket in the back. And usually like if you have like a big tree stump or something, you'll leave like your yard work or whatever has to be done in the back. You will leave the basket to where it needs to be done. They'll leave the basket there and they will do whatever work done. They already know what has to be cut out. It's beautiful.
Wow.
That's where Native American was taught how to plant and stuff because the Makiawisu go hand in hand with Bigfoot. I'm not sure the exact connection.
That is fascinating. I've not really heard of that one before. So thank you for sharing. And also, if listeners are wanting or into like weird stuff in New England, you should look up the Dudleytown place that Steve was talking about. It is a really wild place. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens there.
Oh man, I have some content for days out here in New England because I've kind of been fascinated with this my whole life. So if you ever want to like do some, even filming anything out here, I know like the runarounds to the Appalachian Trails. I've seen it all out here, every entity imaginable, and I don't smoke. I'm not cuckoo, so I know for a fact it's legit.
Wow. Yeah. Can you send me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com so I have your contact?
Definitely, man. We could definitely chop it up, make some incredible content, and you have a great podcast. This is phenomenal content, brother. Appreciate you having me up. I'll stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Good to talk to you, Steve.
Thank you.
Hey, James. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's your name, bud?
Hey, my name is Jeremiah.
I'm in Arkansas, and I did have a run-in with Bigfoot. We call them wood boogers down here. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all, bud. I am 60 years old, and about 7 years ago, I lived outside the back gate of the Air Force Base Little Rock Air Force Base here in central Arkansas,
Okay.
just out of Jacksonville, off of Jacksonville Conway cut through. Biomeda Creek runs through it. Anyway, I had a job at a little country store, and it was only a mile and a half. It wasn't that big of a walk, but this is a developed area. It had been for 50 years. I mean, you couldn't look out your window and wave at your neighbor. There was, about an acre and a half between properties, but overall about 1,500, 2,000 people in the general area. Now, I say that because to me, I've heard a lot of experiences, but I've never heard anything about an inhabited area. Now, I was walking to work. I'd gotten on Jacksonville Conway, and anybody that's hearing this or seeing this, if you know where Jacksonville Conway cut through is, on both sides, it's about 25 feet deep ditch. Okay, when it rains real heavy, the water will back up because the creek backs up. But anything that's in the woods is going to have to clear 50 feet across and then 25 feet up. Now, I am in the country and I'm not stupid. I'm carrying a 40 caliber in my belt, just in case, because we got dope heads and all that out here as well. But anyway, I turned from my street onto Jacksonville Conway cut through. And you know that feeling when you know you're being watched, you can actually feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling it on the left side of my body, and I was walking towards the Biomeda Bridge, and it's just creepy. And I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds, and I'm carrying a 40 cal. I'm not worried, if it's a meth head, bear, whatever, it's got to clear a lot of distance to get to me, and I can get to that 40 cal a lot quicker. Anyway, I'm a non-believer in pretty much anything. I'm one of these people you have to show me to make me believe, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm walking down through there and I keep feeling it. It's intense, but the problem is I'm not hearing crickets. I'm not hearing tree frogs. I'm not hearing hoot owls, barn owls, nothing. It's dead quiet, okay? This time of the morning, there's no traffic on Jacksonville cut through. I can't hear Jack. And that was a little unnerving, but again, Anyway, I continue on down the road about a quarter mile, and there's the Biomeda Bridge, which is next to a church that has a cemetery, okay? And I get to the center of the bridge, and my thoughts on this, since it occurred, I've had a lot of time to think about it. This Bigfoot, or wood booger, jumped into a big old oak tree whose center had rotted out, and it misjudged whether the tree could handle it. It cracked a loud break, and then I heard the tree hit, and it hit. And when it hit, you ever thrown a big rock into a shallow creek and you hear that clack?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard, okay? And in my mind, I thought it was one of the drug heads had been sleeping up in a tree and had fallen out and hit the water. And I was laughing. I mean, I had a belly roll going, but I didn't want to be a complete butthole. So I reached in my pocket, pulled out my phone, turned on my light, and I was shining it up. And I had tears rolling, bud. I'm serious. And then I hit the feet and the legs, the belly. I mean, this thing was monstrous. When I say this was a true giant, I'm talking 18 feet to the top of the head. I'm talking 7.5 feet at the shoulders. And when this light hit its eyes, it went from silver to blue to red. Now, this looked like you or I had the brow ridge, had a 5 head, not the cone, but it had a 5 head, if you know what I mean. 5 fingers instead of 4,
Okay.
high. The fur was dark brown or black, and it was just monstrous. And half my brain went absolutely nuts. Now, I grew up Marine Corps, went into the military. I hunted Arkansas all my life. I've never seen hide nor hair of any of it. Okay. So I didn't believe, but here it is 30 feet from me. And I'm like, I'm taking all this in and wrapping my mind around it now. The thing had to be 2,000 pounds, easy, the size of a car. Okay. I mean, it was cut like a bodybuilder, but it was covered in hair everywhere but its face. And it looked like you or I. Okay. But its hands and its feet were just huge. Its legs were as big around as my waist individually. I mean, and I was like, I had the 40 cal and I thought about it. And then I dismissed it immediately because it'd been like me or you getting shot by a BB gun. It's going to make us mad, but it's not going to really do anything. But it took a hobbling step towards me, and that's when I knew I was going to live, because it had hurt its legs in the fall, or one of its legs. Anyway, a 52-year-old man trying to run when he hadn't run in 30 years. If it hadn't been the situation, it'd been funny to watch. But I got to the light of the church parking lot, and I sat there. This thing started with a whistle, a high-pitched whistle, and in the same breath went to a bone-rattling roar. Now, I can't tell anybody because this is Arkansas, and wood booger sightings are rare. Bigfoot sightings are rare. And if you tell somebody, they're going to call you a nut job. So I just sat there till the sun came up, went to work, did my stuff. A few days later, a young man that raises German Shepherds came into the store and showed me on his phone. I'm sure you've heard about teepee structures.
Yeah.
He had video of his phone with 3 teepee structures on his property. The smallest pole in them was 10 inches round, and they weren't cut. They were snapped. And that's my experience.
That is absolutely wild. Arkansas has some of the weirdest stuff I've ever heard, to be honest, James. You guys have some weird stuff going on down there when it comes to Bigfoot. But an 18-footer, I mean, dude, that's a giant Bigfoot. My
That's
goodness.
what I'm saying. Everything, trust me, I've watched every video I can get on it, every documentary, every, Alaskan monsters or searching for Sasquatch. And people are always describing, yeah, it was monstrous. It was 8 or 9 feet tall. I must have seen Granddaddy. That's all I can say, because this one wasn't no joke.
My goodness. Well, James, I appreciate you coming up and sharing that. And if you ever hear anything else down there, definitely, feel free to share in another live if you're ever hanging
Well,
out with us again.
could I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
I'm sure that you know researchers.
Hmm.
Can you get them to come to Arkansas and do research? I mean, yeah, we've got the Falk monster and a couple of other stories that are real famous. But I mean, like I said, this was in a residential area that was well established. And my question, I mean, I'm not a fart smeller, but I'm sure you got something on the ball or you wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
What would force something that large into a populated area?
It'd have to be food.
I don't know. I mean,
who knows? Yeah. But that's what I would say is it needs food, you know?
I mean,
Oof.
you could have a hotel room in Jacksonville and 15 minutes be where this was. I mean, that close.
That's wild. My goodness, James. Yeah, I mean, there's so many researchers that I think they focus on Oklahoma and Texas, but you're right. There's not a lot of them that are looking into Arkansas.
Well, I mean, I can understand if they seen what I seen.
Mm.
I wouldn't. I moved into the city because of this. Okay, I really did. The only way I'm going back out in the woods, and if you got me to go research, I'm taking a flamethrower because
Right.
everything
Yeah.
I know is scared of fire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. James, what an incredible account. That is the largest one in an account that I've ever heard in 5 years. That's
Have
absolutely
you
wild.
seen the trucker footage? He's an equipment hauler going out
No.
into a lumber area, and the video in his truck is he's turning to the left, and you get a full still Sasquatch in the shot. That's the kind of size I'm talking about.
Okay. My goodness, I'll have to look that up. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. But
Wow.
anyway, thank you for letting me come on. You can shut me off now.
All right. Thank you for coming up, James. I do appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, how are you? Okay, I'm pretty much forcing my fiance to tell his story. So,
Okay, cool. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, sir. Feel free to share what your experience was.
Okay, so I've been hunting since I've been 12. I live in Washington State. The occurrence happened in between LB and Randall, or I would say Morton and Randall was kind of the two cities in between where it happened. So I was out hunting. This is probably, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe 10 to 12 years ago. And I was out there hunting in the tall timber, and I ran onto this old logging road. And it's just an eerie feeling. You wouldn't hear any animals. It was like a stillness there, and I could smell like a musky, wet dog. So basically, what was happening, I was hunting for deer, and got on this old logging road, which is the road. I'm gonna kind of give you a picture of what it looked like. It's a old logging road. The ground was covered with wet pine needles, so I was being really quiet. I had on this non-scent hunting gear, so they couldn't smell me. And so the road kind of bent towards the left, and then kind of had like an S shape to the road. And then it went, once you completed the half of the S shape, it went straight. And at the end of the road, there was this black silhouette about 9 feet tall. And I locked eyes with it, and I had my 300 Win Mag ready to go. If he charged me, it just, my hairs on my arm were just, I mean, it was like staticky. It was electricity, and the smell just got more intense. And I mean, I have a picture of it. I took a picture of it with my phone. I'd be happy to share that via email if you like. You can clearly see I was like I was in the tall timber. It was really dark. And you can clearly see this black silhouette, and you can see the legs, you can see everything. and I don't know, it seemed like time kind of just stood still. It was like, it seemed like it was forever, but even though it wasn't, it was probably maybe a couple minutes, and I actually witnessed it walk, because it was standing straight at me, maybe about 50 yards, maybe a little bit more, and it walked towards his right, so it'd be my left, and I witnessed it, and I sat down for a second, and I just listened, making sure he wasn't coming back around behind me. I was really scared, to be honest, and then I just got out of there. I just went back where I came from and left.
Oh my goodness. I would love to see that photo. If you would be willing to email it, it's Bigfoot Society at gmail.com. That would be fantastic.
Tell me about the knocking.
Another incident, different. It's kind of the same area, but I drove to this section in the woods, and it's like an old campsite, and I found this road, and I started walking down, and it was overgrown. And then so I started walking down this road for a little while. I ran into a couple elk, and then I ended up getting into a dead end, but I did see a road down further. So what I do is I just follow the trails inside the tall timber, and then I have like pink ribbon I tie on the branches as I go down the tall timber. I tie some more about every 10 feet. That way I can turn around and I see the pink ribbon, so I don't get lost. So I do that through the whole tall timber. And once I get down to the very bottom, there's a little creek. And I sat down and had something to eat. And then I heard a knock on my right side. It was a 3 knock on my right side. And about 30 seconds later, I heard another knock on the other side of me. It was really, really frightening. I kind of felt like I was being watched and I was surrounded. So that they didn't want me there is kind of the feeling that I had. So I ended up grabbing my gear, and I just followed my pink ribbon out into the tall timber back where I came from, and I just left. Just, really slowly and watching behind me and listening very carefully, and that's my occurrence on that situation.
That is incredible. And that was also around Morton and Randall?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I mean, you're probably aware there are so many accounts that have been reported on Highway 12 in that area over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Almost every time I go out there for hunting or just exploring, I run into some kind of experience.
It's incredible. Thank you for coming up and for sharing your experiences. What were the years on those again?
I would say between 10 and 12 years ago. It wasn't too long ago.
Okay. Gotcha. So like 2015-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay. Wow. Definitely, keep me in mind if you ever experience anything else out there when you're hunting. Have you been back to those same areas?
I have
where
not.
you saw the silhouette? Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
I think I have a timestamp on that picture. So,
oh, cool.
That might be able to give you more of a detail time frame.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would, and it sounds like a really cool picture. So I'll be looking forward to seeing it. But thank you for both coming up and for sharing. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll get that picture out to you tonight.
All right, very good. Have a good night, guys.
All right, thanks.
Man, good stuff. This is a wild night. Hi, Claude. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. A few questions for you right off the bat here. I want to make sure that you are up to share a Bigfoot experience you've had, and also, if so, would you be okay if I use the audio from this conversation for a Bigfoot podcast that I have?
Sure.
All right. Well, feel free to share what you've experienced, sir.
I talked to you last year.
Yep.
Told you about my encounter with the portal in the White Mountains.
Okay.
Remember that?
I do.
On the other side of the White Mountains from where that was in Alpine is called the Mogollon Rim. We were
Yep.
over there logging. And I was walking through the woods. I was coming through a little draw. And I heard a loud crash, almost like metal. And then I heard my name called.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen something black moving through the woods. Couldn't tell what it was, bear, I don't know. But then I seen a spear about the size of a bulb from a neon light, 4 or 6 feet long, was bluish green, and it was somersaulting through the woods.
Wow.
And I watched that till it was gone. But I heard that and seen something moving fast before that. But what really stopped me was when I heard my name. But I was probably a half a mile from the loading site for the logs.
What year was that, Claude?
That was actually in 1977, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It was a year or two older than when I first seen the Bigfoot in Alpine on the outskirts.
Would you mind sharing the Alpine story again? There's probably a lot of people here that haven't heard that.
Okay. I was 13, maybe going on 14. It's on the outskirts of Alpine, going east toward New Mexico. New Mexico is only about 15 miles from there. I went up on the ridge. It was all surrounded by woods. The top had no woods on it, and it went and dropped off a slope. I was walking, everything was quiet, and I heard loud, like it was in my head, hey. I stopped. There wasn't that many trees down below, 5, 6 trees off the drop, and everything turned dark down there. And right next to me, to the right, was static, like static. And the farther it went down, and I would say it had to go 25 yards, maybe farther. But as far as it dropped down on the hill, it started getting more thicker. And at the bottom of it, it was like a swirling cloud. And that's where I seen the Bigfoot come out and walk straight across in front of me. And that thing was huge, huge. It wasn't no 18 feet tall, but it could have been 10 foot. And I stopped looking by then, because when you go, that darkness was moving. It moves in the woods. It has to be something to do with where they came from. I turned around and booked it. I tripped over a log and about broke my leg and ankle. But that's the best.
Oh, goodness.
sighting
Okay.
I've ever seen of anything like that. And when I tell people that, which I hadn't told anyone that till a few years ago ever in my life, people can think you're crazy or whatever. I don't care. But when I tell that, that affected my life till now.
Mm-hmm.
That has
Yeah.
affected me my whole life because I seen something that was not supposed to be real. I went there this last summer
Mm-hmm.
down at the bottom of it, but it was so eerie. I couldn't go up there, man. I didn't go up there on that top of that hill on the ridge.
Wow.
I don't know if I let my own mind freak me out or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Claude, that account is so awesome. I've only heard of one other account where someone saw a Bigfoot coming out of a portal, and that's at Skinwalker Ranch. So that is
Yeah.
incredible, that story you have. And you said that's from 76?
Yeah, I was 13. It had to
Okay.
be, it was June or July of 76.
Okay.
Because all I did, my family were loggers. We spent all the time in the woods, and if I was at home, I was out in the woods.
Yeah.
That's all we did. That and go to the lakes. There's little lakes all around there to go fishing, you know. Yeah, it was bizarre. Oh,
Wow.
I can still see that if I really think about it in my mind, clear as day.
Did it look more like an ape or like some kind of human, would you say?
It looked more human, but I didn't get to see its face clear because I was too far away and it was sideways. But it
Okay.
wasn't built like no ape. It was built like a giant man walking.
Wow.
It
And
walked out of
10
there with
foot.
straight shoulders, but it was huge and it was dark black. Some people
My
say,
goodness.
different parts of the country, there's Bigfoots that are brown, reddish hair. I believe anybody. I mean, I'll take them for their word because after what I seen, I have no idea what's in this world and what comes from other places.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like if I saw a Bigfoot come out of a portal, I mean, all bets would be off, Claude. I mean, it would change everything, you know. Uh,
And I, yeah,
wow.
I didn't know nothing about no portals back then. I was just a dumb young hillbilly kid. You know what I mean? That town
Yeah,
probably had
yeah.
150 people in it.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's
That
still a
small of a
really
town.
small place. Yeah, it's called Alpine. It's right on the Coronado Trail that goes over the mountains and then drops down into Clifton and Morenci where big copper mines are and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Claude, I'm so glad you were able to come up again and share your stories again. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Glad to
Keep
tell them.
keep us in mind if you experience anything else out there.
Oh, I will. Have a good evening.
You too. Whew, that's wild. I have not really. I mean, that's a wild story. Hey, Carmen, how's it going?
Good.
Are you there?
Yep.
Awesome. Were you coming up to share a Bigfoot experience you've had, or?
Yeah.
Awesome. Feel free to share what your experience was.
All right. Well, where we're located in BC, province of BC in Canada,
Okay.
there's lots of activity around our, it's like our reserve or tribal lands. as you may. And we were feeding some horses in one side of the corrals, and we had them in the corner because we were fork feeding them. And we were just rationing their food out like twice a day. And this is in the summertime, and I noticed one horse always had one ear back and kind of had her head tilted to the side like she was watching something. And the other horses didn't care because they were busy pigging out on the hay. And I was take a quick run to the store to catch them before they closed for the night and get a little thing of ice cream. And I got caught on the phone, and I was on the phone and kind of got tied up, and so I ended up missing, so I didn't bother going because it was already too late. And it was about 8:30 when I jumped in the vehicle, and I think 9 o'clock they closed. So, and I was on the phone, and I had it in the vehicle, and I was sitting there, and then all of a sudden this thing stand up. It was over by the freshwater creek that goes to the corral. And this thing stand up, and it must have been about probably like 5'6", 5'7" in height. And it was all like white fur with like a little bit of mottled spotting, like dark, like black polka dots or whatever. And I was thinking, gee, who's over there? And this is where the creek is. The road to the barn is also there, and to drive around to the barn on the other side of the corrals. And I was thinking, gee, who's over there? And I know darn well there's nobody over there. Nobody should be over there. And the dog was quiet. The dog wasn't barking or saying anything, doing anything. And I was watching it walk, and it had a kind of a funny walk, like every step it took. It wasn't a smooth walk like somebody walking, like a human being. It was just like bobbing up and down. And I watched it, and I was thinking, gee, if it keeps going on that road, it's going to come out where the barn is. So I gave it time, and I was I was keeping an eye on both sides, and it never did come out where the barn is. So, and my guess it went straight in, like there's a corner there, and it went straight into the brush, like into the timber. And we're kind of close to the highway, and on the other side of the highway, there's other homes, like neighbors, but there's a bunch of timber in between. Yeah, so, and I was thinking, gee, who's wearing a hoodie? Like, who's wearing a hoodie this time of, year, it's the summertime. And I thought somebody had the hoodie pulled over their head. And I realized, oh my gosh, that is nobody. I'm like, that's a little Sasquatch. And I grew up on a ranch and cowboyed all over the place with my dad as well, and I've never seen anything like it, but I've known they're out there. So this is the first time I've ever seen one firsthand, and I figured it was like a baby one. So it was kind of crouched down behind some small, like thorn bushes. So I guess it thought it was hiding. I guess it was hiding because I didn't notice it till it stood up. And I was looking over, talking on the phone, looking over that way around there every once in a while. So and I never did see it again. And you know, you get this, so you get curiosity comes over you, so you just want to go and check it out. So I did, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go check it out. Like, I'm going to go look for tracks in the dirt. Maybe there's some mud puddles back there, you know, from the rainy season. It never dried up or something. Maybe I'll see something. And I went over, and I did go for a walk, and I didn't tell anybody. And I was like, well, that was really smart, because I should alert somebody to what I'm doing, and and in case something happens. But I was already right in the middle of it, so I just kept on going. And I walked over that way, walked by the horses, and around that road, a little dirt road, to the barn. And there's like thick poplar trees, like a forest, and fir tree forest around the home as well. So there's lots of, and it's kind of thick back there. And I went for a walk, and I didn't see nothing though. I checked for tracks. I looked everywhere and kind of went toward the barn. I didn't see nothing, but I know for a fact it probably went straight into that corner, went straight off the corner into the brush. So I was like, whoa. And I ended up going back to the house, and, you know, nothing happened, and it was all quiet. And I was sitting there at the vehicle, and then I noticed a horse. Like, after it left, the horse, the one that was watching it, she relaxed, and she just quit watching behind herself. She just kind of quit watching something, so she just went and relaxed, and just, you know, ignored everything after that. So I was like, oh, you know, there was something there, and, you know, it was interesting. And a couple other times on horseback, this happened like 3 years ago, no, 4, 5 years ago. And I would say a couple other times. Well, once I spooked one up when I was riding horses down by the river. I was riding a horse down by the river and spooked one up. And to me, I thought, gee, what is this, you know, what is this thing doing here? Like, I thought it was a cow or something. But I know it was just in the summertime. And all in the summertime, and this is like toward the hay fields. So in the summertime, all our cattle are up on the range, and there's no horses or cattle allowed to be in the hay fields during the summertime, because everybody's, you know, sub-irrigating their hay fields and then putting up hay afterwards. So, and I came around the corner, and where the freshwater creek was, and something was bent down, and I showed up, and all of a sudden it straightened up or jumped back, and there's like a bunch of small willow trees behind it, like, and it looked funny because, you know, as you would stand up startled and jump back, and then if you trip on the willow tree behind you, you're going to stumble, and you're going to stumble backwards, and then you're going to almost fall over, and you're going to put your other foot out to catch yourself, and you're going to stumble, you know, back into another tree, and then you're going to keep, all of a sudden the trees were, a whole bunch of trees were shaking behind it, like, I guess it was stumbling backwards, and the heels of its feet kept on bumping into a tree, and it was almost stumbling over, like falling, and it was catching itself, and I was like, whoa. And it never did come out, and I ran the horse. I was like, whoa, and I stood there for a while with the horse, and we're like watching, and even the horse was, I was like, maybe there is a cow out here, so I just started, you know, yelling like I was in a cattle drive chasing cattle. I just kind of like yelled out loud, like, yeah, 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 like, and then I thought, okay, if it's a bear, it's going to run out. And the bear will always come out of the brush into the open and clearing and look around, like, see what's bugging it. But this thing never did. So I ran the horse around I went through the creek. I went on the other side of the big brush pile, and I went running the horse. I galloped the horse around the other side looking for it. I thought maybe it'll come out in the open on the other side, as I knew where the layout of the area was down there. So, and I went flying around the corner, and I didn't see nothing. And I stopped the horse, and we're looking around, and nothing. I couldn't see anything. So I came back, I retraced my steps, and I came through the creek area again, and this time I was on the other side yelling around a little bit. I didn't see nothing. And finally I ran him back up on top, because, like we're in a little gully down there by the river. So, and above us is that, like a bench above the hayfields. So I galloped the horse as fast as he could. Like I went flying up top of that bench, and I ran around to the end where I know it overlooks that whole area. And I can look down on that brush pile from on top, and I couldn't see nothing. So whatever it was still hiding in there, and the grass is pretty tall by then. It was somewhat middle of the summer, so it's pretty tall by then. So I was thinking later on, like after a while, I was thinking, gee, it's probably just hiding in there or whatever, crouched down or whatever. So I just went back down, and I just continued on. And I just made sure that this time that I went through the creek again, and this time I made sure to hang on to my saddle horn. And I just roared through there with the horse, because I had, my dad's big favorite saddle horse, and he was like this big quarter horse gelding, and he was like over 16 hands high, big strong boy. And so I just hung on to the saddle horn really good, and I thought if anything comes out, I'm going to run him over or, get away with the horse. And I just kept on going, and I just galloped him all the way along the river bottom there and came out on the other side, and I got back up on the bench on the other end. It's just the way the layout of the land. Like the benches are always there. So, and when I finished doing my ride that afternoon into the evening, this time I made sure to go home before it got dark, but I went home a different way. I didn't go home the same way. I went a different route. And this time I rode back along the highway back to the house. So that way, I'm like nothing couldn't get me there or whatever. So I've never seen it again down by the river, but I know they're all around.
Wow.
But yeah, that was pretty cool though. Well, I have a theory on Bigfoot, Sasquatches, and I feel that if you live a good life and you're leading a good life, they won't bother you. They won't ever show themselves to you. But if you're leading the wrong way of life and stuff, they'll come after you, and that's when you see them. So, yeah, I was kind of shocked to see that, to see that baby one, that gray one. I've heard about them being gray, like white, and some people saying, oh, it's an old Bigfoot, because they turn gray like human beings when they get old, their hair. But actually, it showed me then that no, they don't. Even the young ones can have white hair or gray hair, whatever it's called.
Carmen, is this up by Burns Lake?
No, it's way out. We're out in the Chilcotin, so it's in the Caribou-Chilcotin region. So we're west of Williams Lake, like an hour's drive on Highway 20 going towards Anaheim Lake in Bella Coola.
Oh, you're by Bella Coola.
towards Bella Coola, but they're about 300 kilometers west of us.
So
So
you are near that big rainforest, right?
no, Bella Coola is a rainforest. They're the
Okay.
coastal town. They're like right where the cedar trees grow, and they're right on the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, they're right on the ocean, Bella Coola Valley. So, 'cause we're our nation back in the 1800s ran the whole Chilcotin Plateau, and that's like a huge area in the Chilcotin Plateau, and it starts 20 minutes west of Williams Lake. We cross the Fraser River, and you climb up on this switchbacks, and then you get up on top, and that's the start of the plateau, and it runs all the way like west to Anaheim Lake, and then it drops down into Bella Coola. So yeah, it's over that whole area is like the Chilcotin Plateau. And then after that, when you get to Bella Coola, you drop down from past Anaheim Lake. You get into that Heckman Pass area, and then that's where you start dropping down into Bella Coola Valley, and that to be called the Bella Coola Hill, the big road, the steep road there. We had this one special horse that he would always let us know when something was around too, and he would get this wild, snorty attitude. He would start whistling through his nose and just getting all antsy because if we're kind of becoming like close and to their area, I guess, where they roam or like their territory, like where they sleep or nap or whatever, and then you can smell them and stuff. And yeah, that horse would get so antsy. He didn't like going over there, like being around them. And he only calmed down once you let him. We moved to a different area, and yeah, so he was quite intelligent too, that horse. But yeah, just interesting stuff like that happened. And same thing, it was we came across a sleeping area, like a napping area for them, and it was on this big knoll, and it was poop and pee all over the place. And I was like, what kind of poop is that? Like, that's not cattle. And again, it was in the middle of summer, and I was like, there should be no cattle around here. You know, they're all up on the range. Only our horses are on the side of the highway. And I was looking for some horses. I was interested in chasing into some other horses because I wanted to ride my horse, and he was with the bunch. And yeah, so, and I was walking around there, and I came across it. So it just sits there and lays on this knoll and watches everything below it. And all our horses, the res horses, are roaming around down below it, beneath it, on the hillsides. But we've never lost any to them, so you know they don't bother our horses. So I feel as long as we don't bother them, they won't bother us.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Carmen, I appreciate you coming up, and thank you for sharing some stories from your time up there, and definitely keep us in mind if you hear anything else up there. Okay.
Oh yes, you're very welcome. Thanks so much, and have a great night, you guys.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
How's it going, Victor?
Hey, how are you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Feel free to share what you've come up to share.
So, first of all, I've been following your channel here for like a few hours now, so it's exciting to get to talk to you. So, I just want to say
Thank
that
you.
real quick.
Thank you.
So, I live in Utah. I'm from Colorado, but I live in Park City, Utah. My family, every summer we go hunting over in Strawberry. It's not too far off from Heber. It's about an hour drive, but I decided to go camping with my brother-in-law and his son, my nephew, Kai, just to go hang out at the camping ground that we go to every year. Also, we go there every year to get lumber for our fireplace. And it's not like overdone. Like, we're not going so far out there, like where there's like no people. Like, there's actually a lot of people. And what made it weird to me is we've been doing this for years and years, since I was like 12, and I'm 33 now. And we would go to hunt, and we use our four-wheelers. And my dad would drive us up the mountain and drop us off on a higher trail, and there'd be a bunch of trees between us, and there'd be a lower trail after all those trees. So he would drop us off and tell us to wait. He would go back down and he would radio in saying, all right, I'm on the lower trail now. And he would ask us to walk through this bunch of trees and make noise so that we could flush out any deer that might be in there, so they would come running out the bottom and he could maybe get a shot at them. And what made it weird is during this camping trip with my brother-in-law and my nephew, was we were kind of just doing that, even though we're not really hunting. We're just kind of making noise. And it wasn't a sighting, it was more of an audio. So we would rub deer antler together to make other bucks think that there's a fight going on to draw their attention. And so we were just kind of like trying to mimic that, just having fun. And he was throwing sticks. And he did a tree knock. He hit a tree, and I didn't think much of it, but then I heard it again. And then again. And then again. And then I said, who's up here hitting trees with big sticks? And it's not like a little ding, it's like a knock. And I'm like, we're hearing tree knocks right now. And that's when the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I'm like, there's something responding to him hitting these trees. And I don't know how many people go up in the forest and just hit trees to hit trees, but like, it was very unusual. Very unusual. And it sounded like a response. So like that's what I was experiencing, was these tree knocks, these tree sounds that didn't sound like someone was doing it to mess with you. It sounded like someone was responding, and it was really weird. And it's like, it's a quick one, but like that's what I had. I think we were hearing tree knocks from a Bigfoot. I think they were hearing us messing around, and they were trying to communicate back, or just, I don't know, tell us to go away. Probably that, but
Right.
whatever we're hearing, it seemed not normal at all, especially when we were up in the mountains just walking around.
And that was around Strawberry, Utah, you said?
Yeah, in Utah. It was really cool, because it was just like super weird. And I'm sitting there just walking around like, wait a minute, what is going on here? It was freaking me out a little bit, because it was not the biggest bunch of trees. So if anything was there, they weren't very far away. They could probably see us, but I wouldn't know where to look. And I've been watching a lot of Bigfoot stuff my whole life, especially the Portlock incident. You heard about that? Yeah, I was just watching that, and I'm actually trying to work on writing a book about Bigfoot are aliens, and they're defending our tree lines from Wendigos and skinwalkers. Like, I have a lot of fun with it, but like, that's my one incident, was those tree knocks, man.
Well, I appreciate you sharing what you experienced. That's pretty cool. I remember, I think tree knocks are extremely awesome. Yeah, I agree with it. It's a cool thing to get a response back. But thank you so much for coming up and for sharing that, man.
Hey, thanks for letting me talk about it. I know it's not the biggest, most profound story, but if you were there, you probably would been like, yeah, something's going on. Like, that's not normal. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well,
yeah, man,
thanks for
it
coming up,
was
man.
weird. Hey, you thank you for your channel. It's really great. I've been listening to a lot of people talking about their stories too, so I just was like super excited to talk about that. I don't know. Everyone thinks I'm like weird. I'm like, I don't think it's weird.
Oh no, I don't think it's weird. But hey, thank you for checking out the channel. I appreciate it. You have a good one, man.
Hey, take care.
Hey Ralph, how's it going?
All right, bud. How you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for being patient, man. Feel free to share what your experience is, Ralph.
Okay, I'm a truck driver. I started driving like 3 years ago, and my company was sending me up to Seattle. I stopped at a rest stop. I had to go to the bathroom, and this was late at night. I'm the night driver. I'm sorry. So I stop at this stop, and I go to the bathroom, and it's only me and two other trucks. And I head to the bathroom, and it's one of those bathrooms where it's just like a outhouse. It's just brick around, and it's just one toilet, and it's
Hmm.
dirty. So I go in, and I'm doing my business, and I hear I don't know what it is. I thought it was a moose or something. So when I'm done, I'm sure to kind of open the door, just look around, and then I book it back to my truck. And when I'm booking it to my truck, I could hear some ruffling in the back. And I book it and I hop in the truck and I'm staring at the garbage truck. I'm sorry, not the garbage truck, the garbage can. And I see what I thought it was a bear that was rummaging through the trash. Um, I don't know what I saw, but I'm watching it from the distance. And when it like stood up, it was walking like a human.
Oh wow.
I'm not a Bigfoot guy, I just but there was another truck driver next to me and he said that he had been watching that thing around me in the back of the thing, but he was saying it was just a shadow. So when we were staring at it, I didn't notice he was staring at the same thing I was when I was at the truck. And I turned to him like we just had this feeling that we were. And he's just looking at me, I'm looking at him, and we're watching this thing just like rummage through trash. And it went away. That's my story. I don't know what it was, but it was the most, my body, when I first saw it, it was like my body felt weird, like
Right.
I had just, even the guy next to me said, we're one of the lucky ones, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, did you say this was in Seattle or
No, no, no.
kind
It
of?
was on
No.
route. I was driving through Washington at that point.
Okay.
A lot of mountains, you know, and it was on Route 90.
I was gonna guess if it was 90. Absolutely, it's 90. Yep. Wow. Do you remember the area on 90?
I was the fresh truck driver out of school, and
Yep.
this was like my second week on the job. I just know for the whole week that week I wouldn't shut up about it.
Right. Right. I get actually a lot of reports from that route. Um, some around Snoqualmie Pass, and then some around um, There's like a Homestead Road exit, but really that whole route, there's a ton of sightings that happen. I am not surprised at all you had a sighting or an experience in that area. That's wild.
Yeah. I I thought it was a moose because when I was in the bathroom, I could hear him. I could hear it outside the window, out the door, going. "Call, call, 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 call." I have no clue what that was. Call,
Ralph, it
call,
would
call,
be
call.
interesting if you look up something called the Sierra Sounds on YouTube, and that is a recording of some Bigfoot back in the 70s in the Sierras of California. And it'd be interesting to know if that sounded similar to what you heard.
I'm sorry. What was it called again?
Just look up the Sierra Sounds.
Sierra sounds. I will do
Yep,
that.
yep, yep. I have a feeling it's probably going to be similar to what you heard. But man, thank you for sharing what you experienced. What year again was that?
This was last year.
Oh wow,
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was. I drove for the company for. It was 2 years ago.
still 2 years ago. Wow, that's not too not
Yeah,
too
I
old.
can never forget that sound it was making. I like the thing I took off. I took off after that thing. The other
Hmm.
guy wasn't lucky because he was on his. He had to stay there for 8 hours.
You had to stay there with it. Wow.
Yeah, and it was only him.
Oh my
I
goodness.
took off, but
Wow.
I don't know what I saw. I don't even know if it was a Bigfoot, but it was huge. It was like I'm not even gonna guess. It was huge.
That's wild. Oh my goodness. Um, I want to say that's. I think there was another trucker that I talked to had a sighting in this area around Snoqualmie Pass in on 90. Yeah, I'll have to look into my episodes for that, but I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah,
the
there
same
was there
similar
was
area.
nothing. There was nothing for miles. Only
Okay.
little gas stations that were closed.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good
but
stuff. Good stuff. Well,
I
Ralph,
I
I
started listening to you because your stories that people were saying were so similar to this. I don't
oh,
have
okay. Yeah, yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else, but it's wild.
Absolutely. Well, I know you said you're not a Bigfoot guy, but I appreciate you getting up here and sharing what you experienced.
I appreciate you. What was that what was that website you told me to look at or that video?
If you get on YouTube and search for Sierra Sounds,
Sierra
it'll
Sounds.
come up. Yep,
I'm gonna go
it'll
check it
come up.
out
It's
and
gonna
I'll tell
sound
you if
weird.
it's. I'm gonna go check it out and see if it's the same thing, and I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good, man. Thanks, Ralph.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Man, what a great night.